Hello and welcome to the Leftynet podcast. I'm your host Jacob, and today I have with me John. Today we are discussing a topic about Steam and its latest policy. So John, can you introduce like your whole?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the latest Steam policy that they've now decided to roll with is a new anything goes way for dealing with what content is allowed to go up on to be able to purchase. Um, I personally believe that, although either way, Steam is going to be shitty inherently because they do hold a monopoly on buying, AAA title games with really no viable alternatives. This anything goes policy is still the best option compared to having them forcefully, monitor and decide on what is allowed and what isn't. Because although things that everybody doesn't like will go up, it doesn't really matter because things that are super fucking garbage aren't probably going to be bought a lot, and that they're still getting money off of it. But if people wanted to buy it, they'd go somewhere else anyway. They'd find it somehow. And that's
Yeah.
of course it is marketing it to a much larger audience, but in the end, uh, it doesn't. At least to me, I don't really care because of how like minute it is. Like I don't think anybody is going to go out and buy, and anybody's going to see like Africa Killer 4000 for like $2 on Steam and be like, "Wow, I'm a neo-Nazi now." Right?
Yeah.
Like the people who are buying it already have like reaffirmed their beliefs.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to even turn this into a political discussion because, like, you could bring up anything from markets to what would be like some kind of ANCAP. You shouldn't regulate companies. They should do whatever they want. And like, if people complain about it, they will arrange that around it. But I mean, like, I don't really care about like some random fucking capitalist enterprise, even though it's a big company and I use their games a lot. Like I could just torrent their games. Like I really don't care about some weird ethical consumerism. But still, like if I were to prefer something using a platform like Valve, I guess like I would prefer the really like disgusting shit uh, be at least off limits to the kiddies, which they kind of already have. But I guess there's always some way to find it. um but like I don't really care what people upload. Like I guess it it's their company. Like obviously why it happened is because they faced a lot of backlash from having games like Honey Pop and having games like there was like a school shooter game. I haven't read that much about it, but you heard about it, right?
Yeah,
John.
the school shooter game was put up, and a lot of local news, stations, as well as more larger news stations and media reported on it, and kind of named Steam, of course, as where it was uploaded. But of course, they took it down, and I feel like that's going to be the pattern. They're all like anyway. Even in the past way of monitoring Steam and what content goes up, that's really the only time that something wasn't allowed. It was whenever they got called out on it. So you might as well just make it official and just have them take shit down whenever they feel that they're getting too much flack for it, than to try and hide it behind some kind of like ethical,
Yeah.
disruption of like right wing tactics for uploading shitty Unity games.
I mean, I've mostly seen like Polygon articles about Valve gives up on responsibility. Like they don't have sure they have a responsibility, but that's not what it's about. It is about profit at the end. Like it's not a big secret or whatever. I'm not gonna blame them. They're probably one of the biggest companies ever, especially within gaming. But to say like they've stopped trying, I don't know. I think like whatever they do, they're gonna lose pretty much. In as far as public opinion goes, like my personal opinion is that they've probably done a lot good for their community. But at the same time, they've done a lot of shitty things as well. So I'm really like iffy on pretty much every, especially like American big conglomerate companies that deal with like entertainment. Um, I can, if you want to say something about that, you can go on. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a point about Spotify later on as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. But that's really the whole point here. It's that you can have Steam have whatever official policy that they want to make about it. You can have them regulate it to whatever your standards are. You can have them do whatever they want. The issue at the end of the day is that they do have a monopoly over the market, and no matter what you really do, they're going to do whatever profits them the most. And at the end of the day, that's letting as much shit slide as they can until it backfires, and then they'll throw it back.
Yeah.
And people will argue that like, oh shit, but it'll stop people from like buying games. It'll do whatever, when there's really no alternative to Steam. Like, where are people going to buy AAA titles from?
Yeah.
You're not going to buy something like that from like a G2A, right? You're not going to buy something from that, like GOG, right? And although GOG is an alternative, it's nowhere comparable. Steam will always thrive. There's like no competing with it at this point, right?
Yeah, there's no real competition. I mean, like they have the summer sales, and it's pretty cheap and accessible, and it has this like cloud thing that is really convenient. But I don't know. Like I'm probably gonna always use it.
And that's another thing, right? Steam can afford, and Steam can really easily kill off, competition and all other alternatives, because they can afford to have really, really decent sales. They can afford to have these huge, like mark-offs with like 90% off, shit like that, because that's how much they have. They can afford to do that.
Yeah, but they can't afford public image being torn by like, I don't know, sites like Polygon and shit. I feel, I mean, now more than ever that counts more than profit, right? If people, well, it is about profit, but it's less about like what companies think. It's less about what I guess like even the consumers think. It's more about what like fucking newspapers think, because that's what people see. That's what they tell their kids.
I mean, yeah, you can like look at that and have that kind of viewpoint of it's all about public opinion, and they're not going to do anything that harms their public opinion. But again, at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter, because people will still be buying from Steam. People will still
definitely
always be going to Steam. Steam will always be like the number one platform until somebody can step them up, which at this point is like almost impossible.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, like,
they can afford to have like a bad PR rep for like 2 weeks until people forget about it.
Yeah,
right?
they can afford it.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because they were doing this shit anyway. Like, everybody remembers the early access scandal of like 2016, 17, where they just let things, go until they got too much flack for it. Like, they're clearly not going to change. Right now, they're trying to like seem like the epic, cool, like good guys, because like, oh, we'll let anybody upload whatever. It doesn't matter to us, right? They haven't given up. The issue is that they didn't fucking care in the first place. They just stopped trying to hide it.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say that isn't like really just a core part of I wouldn't really call it a problem, but they're just symptoms. Like, if companies don't like Steam anymore, they just move on to other platforms. We already see this, and people use a lot of other ways to get recognition than just have it on a big platform. Like, especially more simpler games, I guess, like visual novels and shit. You can just download that off a fucking website for free if you want to. I don't really see like this hurting companies as much as it is like, I don't know, like it's not really a big issue to me at all, honestly. It's just fucking noise for the most part. Um, like when it comes to like even in the entertainment industry, I don't even see it as a problem. Um, but I don't know. Do you have anything else to add about it?
I mean, well, I'm interested to hear what you have to make about Spotify and your comment
Yeah,
on
because
them.
like here's the thing, right? When it comes to games, I don't really. I do play a lot of the games, and sure, it's a shame when like games get taken off, but I can always access it in another way, probably, because yeah, they're a company that sells this shit. But when it comes to music, it's really fucking annoying. When and I should probably mention that before what they did. So basically, they just had this new policy, and I'm not sure whether they're gonna follow through on it. But to keep it short, they will be censoring people or censoring musicians and artists that have bad words in their titles, right? So they're probably not going to delete everything, but I'm not even sure how it, where it came from. I guess like it just social media and people making articles about it. They wanted to censor artists like fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers, and like really lukewarm, very like normie shit, and it just didn't make any sense to me. But um, like doubling down on that, I think that would actually be really harmful for them. I'm not sure if they back down on it, but like here's the thing, right? I don't really care what they do at the end of the day, but for me, it actually is a lot less convenient for having artists removed from that platform, because the only reason, and you might disagree with me, especially when it comes to Steam and whatever, but the only reason that I actually pay for stuff is because it's convenient. It's not because like I want to support the company. I want to, I don't know, like have a fucking friend base or whatever, where I can like talk to people about the game and like play multiplayer games. No, most of the games I play is single player. And as with music, like that's a single player experience. And I could just download it, right? But because of the cloud and because of the playlists and everything, it's just so much more convenient. So when they censor artists, and when artists feel like they're not getting enough money to do it, they won't use the platform. And like, I don't know, I don't want to move on to other platforms either, but it's just annoying to me. Like, that's what it is. I don't really care about it, but I would prefer if it wasn't like that. And honestly, I don't even think it's necessarily good for the companies. In the end, like, they're just people. Sure, they have a lot of uh, probably very good teams that figure out what is actually in their best favor. And unless you have like some point about convenience,
Oh yeah.
I could, yeah.
Um, that's also really again another major point. Like you said, people, if they genuinely don't want to use Steam, uh, they will pirate it. They will use,
Yeah.
if they can, they'll use GOG when they can. They'll buy from G2A. They'll do all these other things, right? And that's a major factor, and that's also what keeps Steam, large, uh, because it's just convenient, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't,
exactly.
like, people, there are alternatives, right? And or for official games like GOG, I said, but they're not the best. They're not convenient enough. You'd be spreading things out, a bunch along a whole bunch of like programs and platforms. And you can always torrent things, and you can always do that. But at the end of the day, Steam will always be the most convenient way of accessing
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Just like Spotify, and other platforms will always be the most convenient way of accessing music and podcasts to an extent, and things
yeah,
like that. But that's at the end of it, that's what it all really boils down to. With policy changes, to Spotify, to Steam, they, although it is shitty to see that they can just flip things on a dime, there's really nothing stopping them, and they were already probably going to do it anyway. This isn't like
yeah,
something that's just sprung out of the blue, like especially with Steam. Steam was doing it just unofficially. They just let things go, like I said, until they got too much flack for it. And Spotify was already probably had some algorithm to like soft kill like search results that they didn't want, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's really the end of it, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the whole discussion about what?
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about like there's been so much fucking drama about the media and like even Elon Musk having his own hashtag on Twitter. I won't go too much into that, but like in general with YouTube, with all these like alternative platforms, like people can get really upset about it, and like at the end of the day, like I don't care. For me, it's just all about convenience, and if people really care about making their own platforms, they'll find a way to do it. So I don't know. It feels like just such a big non-issue to me, honestly. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
This has been one of our first, or this has been the first video that we've done. That's a very short discussion.
Yeah, short discussion.
We'll probably be doing more stuff like this in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But this has been Leftynet.